Hey, Jason Deming here, Deming's Realty. Today we're going to talk about getting into contract and some of the steps there. I know it's not Casual Friday, but I'm going to dress however I'm getting ready to head out the door. Uh, so we've got our offer accepted, and you've been working with your lender. And this is going to talk about the first parts of the contract. So first thing is that you're going to have an escrow deposit due, and an escrow deposit varies. Um, there's no real rules to it. In Nevada, they like a $10,000 escrow deposit. In Oregon, it's typically around 1% of the offer price. But again, there's no set rules on it. It's part of the negotiations. And another thing is that in the contract, it typically has a 3-day business period that you deposit those funds. I always put 5 business days for my clients. You never know what happens. You get stuck at work. It's the work week, and so you've got to rush over. I also offer to pick up the check from my clients and take it over and get it deposited into the escrow account. So those are just things that you want to discuss with your realtor. Make sure you're aware of. Ask them what the time frame is. If you're getting funds out of a retirement to cover your escrow deposit or things like that, again, you want to talk to your realtor about that up front, and they should be talking to you about it as well. I'm going to go over the lender side of things later. I'm going to kind of go through the components of the contract and making sure that we're meeting deadlines. So earnest money is deposited. We've started the process. We're in contract. We need to get the inspections ordered. I've been in the profession for a long time, so I have inspectors that I rely on and trust and are amazing at what they do. Most of the time, my buyers rely on me to just schedule that and get a hold of my inspectors. But once in a while, I have buyers that have an inspector in mind, and that's fine. It's all, those are all choices that you have. The inspection period is 10 business days. So from the next day after we go into contract, we have 10 business days to complete the inspection, to negotiate the inspection findings, and come to an agreement with the seller to move forward. And those scenarios can vary widely. We could have major items that you're like, no way, I don't want to move forward. And so we actually just withdraw from the contract. And your earnest money is protected during that 10-day inspection window. So if we pull out because of the inspection or because we can't come to an agreement, then those funds are protected. And then if we have repairs that we do want to try to negotiate, then that's what we do. We put together a request and we send it to the sellers, and it's almost kind of like the beginning of the contract again. It's a period of negotiation. So we send over our requests. The seller may just accept it. They may counter. And in repair requests don't have to just be physical in nature. They could be monetary in nature. There may be some things that you're perfectly capable of taking care of, but you feel they're significant in nature, and so we want some compensation. So we can ask for buyer's credit, which can be used for closing costs or things of that nature. They cannot be used for the down payment. So that there's so many more details to the inspection period, but that's a snapshot of that 10-day window. So after, let's just say we are able to work through the inspection, we come to an agreement, and we're going to continue to move forward. On my end of things, there's not a ton of things that I'm always actively involved, but then the rest of the things the majority of them are on the lending side. So I like to prep my buyers for what it's really like with the lender. You're going to be getting calls, emails, you're going to have sent documents, you're going to get requests for those same documents again somewhere in the contract thinking I already sent those. It's all part of the process. It's normal. The lender will ask for bank statements, things like that, and towards the end they'll ask for more, but really usually what it is they're asking for your most recent updated. They need bank statements to show the deposit of the escrow money and it clearing your checking account. Um, they'll need additional tax documents. It seems like it goes on and on and on. And I just like to prepare my buyers. Just know you're going to be working with your lender almost every day, and it's going to seem like they're asking for something every single day of that. So we keep moving forward. Everything's going well. The appraisal has been ordered by your lender, so the appraisal happens. That's the next big thing. Let's say that we purchased a house for $550,000. The appraisal comes in and it comes in at value, $550,000. Great, no conditions, we can move forward. Or other scenarios, the appraisal comes in, it comes in at value, but there's conditions. Maybe it's an FHA loan and the stairs going down to the basement don't have a handrail. So the FHA requires that being put in, or the water heater doesn't have seismic straps on it. Those are common things that come up. So those are non-negotiable items as far as the funding side goes. Usually we don't run into too many problems from the lending side, and then we also don't usually run into too many problems negotiating with the seller on getting those items done, because realtors are pretty good about making clear the lending contingency things. Let's say that the appraisal comes in under value. Let's say it comes in at $475,000. So that's a point of negotiation again. We're back in a funding contingency. So this is an opportunity for us to negotiate with the seller. Sometimes I have buyers that are absolutely in love with their house. They have some extra funds. They can help close that gap. And so they're willing to come to the table with some of the money. And so we try to negotiate with the seller to meet part way. And so we bought at $550. The appraisal came in at $475. You're willing to come to the table with $25,000 to close that gap. And the seller then needs to lower the sales price to that $500,000. That's an extreme example, but when we were in the market a couple years ago and offers were being written, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 over list price, there was some reality to that situation. So the appraisal comes in. This situation, we're just going to say it came in at value. It has no contingencies, so we continue towards closing. We had a closing date that was in the contract. It's typically somewhere between 25 to 40 days from the day that we wrote that contract. And so as we move towards closing, you're working hard with that lender and getting those items in. And then we get close to the closing time. One thing that comes up a lot with first-time buyers is that they think the day that they're signing is the day that they get the keys to the house. So I just want to clarify, your signing day is not your closing day. Your closing day will be clearly identified in the contract. We'll talk about that closing date. So let's say it's October 30th. Typically, your lender's working to get loan docs in to the title company hopefully 3 or 4 days in advance, but unfortunately in this industry a lot of times it's literally the day before, sometimes a couple days before if we're lucky, and then the title company calls you and schedules you to come in to do your signing. I do my absolute best as a professional to be at every single one of my buyers' signings so that I can answer questions, I can be an additional resource. The title company and the escrow company are amazing at what they do, but sometimes you've just been working with your realtor and the way that you communicate and the verbiage that you use just clicks with your clients. So sometimes they get stuck on an item in signing and you can help clarify that. So we get to the signing, we finish the signing, and then typically closing is going to happen a day or two later. Things to make sure that you don't do, absolutely don't do, Do not make purchases, big purchases. You can go buy your groceries, but don't go buy new cars. Don't do anything that's going to upset the possibility of that funding falling apart. I've seen it happen. I've watched a client lose their job between the day that they sign and the next day when the lender's calling for one last verification of employment. So if any of that is a possibility in the woodworks, make sure that you're communicating with your agent so that you don't run into any unexpected snags. That's really a super quick overview of what going through the contract looks like, but I hope it's helpful because a lot of buyers come in with no clue what to expect or what's going on, and I just want to give an initial snapshot of what that process looks like once we've had an offer accepted. In some of my upcoming videos, I will go into more detail about components of the contract, more about the contingencies, and other items that you can expect from your lender. I will do a lender specific video. Even though I'm not the lender, I feel like I can add a lot of value there in what to expect in dealing with that process, especially if you're using lenders that I've recommended for you. So that's it for today. Hope it's helpful. Look forward to continuing this video series. Have a great day. Thanks.